I was sitting in the first row, listening to the story, looking at the nativity set. I really love Hillview's nativity set. If you were to come up and look closely, there's so much detail. It's really gorgeous. But then I confess to you that I love all kinds of nativity sets. It doesn't matter if they're made out of wood or porcelain or Legos or marshmallows. You've seen all those variations. It's just a wonderful, imaginative place to put our attention. When my kids were young, we were gifted with a beautiful nativity set. They were old enough to appreciate the story, but still pretty little kids. And I remember opening it up and setting it out the first Christmas that we had it. And I recall that I put the Holy Family and the donkey and the cow in a central place in my living room so that you would see that when you walked in. And then I put way off in another room the wise men and the camels, as if they had to travel to get to the Holy Family. And then on a bookcase in another part of the living room, I put the shepherds and the sheep, because they had, like a hill to climb or something to get to the Holy Family, and we would just let them come on Christmas. Well, a couple of days later, I walked out in the living room, and this is what I found. And I was kind of charmed by that. All of them huddled around the baby. Wasn't sure which or who had taken care of this, but being who I am and being a bit of a purist, I left the Holy Family where they belonged. I put the wise men and the camels back in the other room, and I put the shepherds on the bookcase and felt pretty good about things. Then a couple days later, sure enough, I walked into the living room, and yeah, there it was again. Another variation on all of them gathered there at the Nativity. Needless to say, I left the Holy Family where they belonged, put the wise men back in the other room, and put the shepherds back on the bookcase. But I don't have to tell you that the same pattern repeated itself kind of over and over again, and so finally, I just left it. And I realized that even though they were kids and they were playing and enjoying themselves telling the story, it felt like they were inviting me and my husband and everybody in their busyness to turn around and put their attention on the baby, on that part of the story. That's the part they loved. That's where they wanted us to be looking. And so that is the part of the story that we get to focus on tonight. And I am very glad that Christmas has come upon us, because if you're like me, you've gotten a little tired of the debate about Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and you've gotten tired of waiting in terrible traffic jams if you're anywhere near any kind of shopping opportunity. And you might be feeling that Christmas gets a little watered down in its true meaning in all of this, and maybe we should just say goodbye to the whole thing and have Christmas in July or something, because this is just a little frustrating. I felt that way, but I have to tell you, about a week ago, I was taken aback by the words of a musician at a United Methodist church down in Elk Grove, California. This guy named Jeremy Schultz was waxing philosophical. He was saying, isn't it interesting? Isn't it ironic that I look on my TV and here's some young pop star dressed really in skimpy clothes singing about the Christ child? And then I go to work and here's this guy who really is a womanizer and a very self-centered, egotistical person. And he's bringing so much food for the food drive and clothing for the clothing drive. It's as if his best self, somebody I've never met before, is showing up for work. And it feels like all these things are happening, and it's as if Jesus and Christmas and culture all got thrown in a blender and turned on high. And I kind of like that image, actually, when you think about it. I like that image because it seems to me that when we are thinking about how there's an awful lot of difficulty and an awful lot of distraction and an awful lot of chaos and all those things going on, that in the midst of all that, It's not just us. It's not just people who follow Jesus who are rising to the occasion, but all kinds of people are doing their very best. People of different walks of life, people of different living situations, people of different nationalities. They all want to do something good for somebody somewhere because it's Christmas. They want to be part of that. Well, we share in all that goodness that's happening out there because it's Christmas. And at the same time, we're trying to keep things turned so that it focuses on the baby. And tonight, we do get to focus on the baby. We get to huddle together here in the warmth of this place on a winter's night. We get to, for the next 12 days of Christmas, sing our Christmas carols and pay attention to this beautiful story that we love. And ultimately, what we need to do then is joyfully turn around, turn our lives around, face out, and begin to follow that grown-up Jesus, the one who actually teaches us how to love and where to put our attention and how to keep walking the walk out in the world while we stay focused on the things that matter most. So the whole goal of Christmas is to stand up and walk away from the manger. Merry Christmas, everybody. Amen.